Hello, amazing listeners of the Becoming You podcast. How are you doing? How was your week or how's your week going? How's everything? Let me know in the comment section. Let's catch up now. Let's catch up. On my end, I had a very rough week. Let me just put it that way. I resumed academic activities officially this week, and there's been a lot of integration going on. I'm trying to just get back into the mood, and I also had my birthday last weekend. And I've been asking myself a couple of questions like, now you're already a year older, what next? What are you going to do differently? What changes do you want to implement in your life? Or like I usually say on this podcast, no pressure. See, I'm going to just take things slow and just try to move at my own pace. I went through some things this week, and the incidents kind of reminded me of this book I read a while ago, like some years ago. I think I read the book in 2020, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I think I need to read that book again. I struggle with saying no. I really do not know how to say no. I'm nice to a fault, and I think I need to work on that aspect of my life. This is just a digression, by the way. So yeah, if you have the soft copy, holler me in the comment section. I think I need to read that book again. I need to remind myself of some things that are highlighted in the book. That being said, what else happened to me this week? Nothing more. In today's episode, talking about failure. Yes, failure. Failing at something or not getting your desired result from something you've put your all into, it hits differently. Hurt is very painful, and first we feel disappointed in ourselves. Later we start questioning our abilities because it didn't go as planned. There's so many questions we tend to ask ourselves after failing at something. It's from like, what could I have done better? Why did I fail at this? Oh, maybe I'm not really good at anything. Just so many questions. We just feel like we let ourselves down. We start questioning our abilities, our competences. In general, I think dealing with failure is actually very complicated. It's very complicated because I've seen people have, different approach to how they handle failure or how they, I think we're dealing with it, failure, how they deal with failure. For some people, failure or failing at something is just the sign they need to give up on a particular thing they've been pursuing. For others, is that incentive they need to go harder. The song, go hard or go home. But really, how do we know when to keep going? How do we know when to walk away? How do we know the right thing we're supposed to do after failing at something we put our time, our efforts, energy, money into? We'll be talking about this. So since encountering failures here and there on the pathway to success is somewhat or somehow inevitable, we'll just be talking about it on today's podcast. How do we have the right attitude? How do we deal with failure? How do we pick ourselves up? How do we bounce back after failing at something? After feeling frustrated? All those things here. There's this saying that goes, tough times don't last, but tough people do. Without wasting time, let's dive into the conversation of the day. Right before we dive in, let's hear what these amazing people think of the adulthood phase.
Adulthood is responsibility.
Adulthood is complicated.
Adulthood is growth.
Adulthood is maturity.
Adulthood is being independent.
Adulthood is stressful.
Adulthood has been confronting.
Adulthood is draining.
Adulthood is decision making.
Adulthood is resilient.
Adulthood is overwhelming.
Adulthood is fun and adventurous.
Remember, I'm not here to demonize this phase, but to say it as it is. On today's episode, I'm trying to sound like my personality. I don't know if that makes sense. I'll describe myself as a strong-willed softie. Like, I think I'm so soft at heart. I am extremely soft at heart. That's why I want to read that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Please send me that book. Send that book my way immediately. Oh yeah, so back to the conversation of the day. I've consistently gone after my goals, chased after my goals. It hasn't been easy, for real. I've faced a lot of difficulties, hurdles, failures, and I constantly have emotional breakdowns. Oh my God. I have emotional breakdowns a lot, but what I find interesting about my personality is how I'm able to pick up myself, or how I'm able to bounce back after each breakdown. How I'm able to give myself the reassurance, how I'm able to just find a way and a reason to try again. The first time I understood firsthand what it meant to fail was when I saw my WAEC results. WAEC is the West African certificate. I think that's the secondary school living certificate here. So when I saw my WAEC results, it was really, really bad. And I had studied, I think, to the best of my ability. I think I gave it my all. Or looking back, at the time, I felt I had given it my all. Looking back at, my life in secondary school, my preparation for my WAEC, now I realize that there are things I could have done differently, but that's by the way. At the time, I felt like I gave it my all. I studied as much as I could have. I prayed a lot. So when I saw my result, I was shocked, I was sad, I was devastated. I had a lot of crying episodes. I was asking God questions like, don't you want me to study? Why would you allow me to fail this much? Yeah, I was really naive. I think I was 15 or 14 then. This is like 10 years ago. Really naive. I was really sad. I felt really bad. And most importantly, I felt like I had let my parents down. All the money they've been spending on me, I allowed it to go to a waste, things like that. And I became depressed. I lost interest in food. If you know me, you know I like food so much. So at that period of time, I lost interest in eating. I was just on my own, questioning myself, questioning God. My mom was really mad at me. She scolded me. I know there was this episode of I don't even know how we're going to tell your dad. When your dad finds out, I don't know how he's going to react. We considered the whole thing for a while before I had the courage to tell my dad about it. No one did notice how I was isolating myself, and they actually handle things differently. My mom, started having talks with me, telling me that now is not the time to just give up or isolate yourself. Now is the time to pick up yourself. Now is the time to go for it. Now is the time to just find solutions. The both of them started brainstorming or started looking for solutions for me, what I could do. And meanwhile, during this period of time, I was waiting for my NECO results. Thanks to God, my NECO result came out. NECO result is like a substitute examination for WAEC. It came out and I passed. I did very well, and that was how I scaled through that process. Getting into the university, I actually dreaded failure. Had my first test and I didn't even get a satisfactory mark or satisfactory result. I called my parents and I started crying. Yes, I'm a crybaby. I started crying to my parents oh, I saw my result just now and I didn't do so well, and my mom was like, don't be too hard on yourself. In fact, my first semester in the university, I had straight A's because I was obsessed with success. It was a good thing. It was a good thing, yeah, because I'm actually proud of that moment. But my second semester, things happened. Girl got a bit distracted and, I still had A's, but there were other grades that were not so satisfactory. Basically, all through my teenage years, I dreaded failure. I was so scared of failing. I would not try out new things because I was so scared to fail at them. I would not try out or go for new opportunities because I was so scared I wasn't going to succeed at them. So I was really, really scared. And I just noticed that it actually kind of curbed me because I was so scared to leave my comfort zone. I was doing things I was comfortable doing. I just wanted to get the accolades. That I dreaded failure. Failing at something, not getting the desired result from something makes us feel, would I say dejected? We just feel this sadness when we fail. And the sadness you feel after letting people down is nothing compared to the sadness you feel after letting yourself down. When you let yourself down, the sadness is more profound because you don't have anybody to console you. I mean, when I failed my WAEC, I had my parents beside me. I felt like I let them down and they were there to console me. At some point, when they moved on from the whole situation, I was like, why are you still sulking around when people that spent the money have moved on? So that was the ginger I needed to just leave the dark space I was at that time. However, as adults, accountability to oneself comes first. It comes first. So when we're going for things, we're going for them with more intentionality. We're making sacrifices to go for these things. So when they don't go as planned, when they don't work out as planned, it tends to hit us harder. Personally, I've really not seen anybody that has been capable of talking me out the sadness I feel when I let myself down, unless I'm ready and willing to just do the work and just leave the dark space that disappointment and failure has kept me in. Failure is actually very traumatizing. If we're being sincere, it's actually very traumatizing, and unless we're able to handle it properly, it can actually become a roadblock in our lives. For real. While some of us, like most of us, have employed different coping mechanisms, we've employed different ways to overcome failure. For some is accepting fate. Some of us are quick to say things like, maybe it wasn't meant to be, that's why it did not happen. But have you thought to ask yourself, maybe it was meant to be, but I actually did not do enough? Maybe it was meant to be and I just need to try again. Maybe it was meant to be and something just went wrong along the line. So personally, I think giving up on our dreams or on our goals, or giving up on something we've been pursuing for a while because we feel that it is actually a very wrong approach. And sincerely, we cannot overcome failure by handling things that way. My mom would always say, failing doesn't make you a failure. You might fail at something and you try again and you do excellently well at it. So how do we know when to give up? How do we know when to keep trying? Bouncing back from failure takes a lot of work, and the work starts from our mindset. It's not enough for you to know that, failure doesn't make me, I'm not a failure if I fail at this thing. It's more than that. You have to be willing to try again. We have to know, understand, and accept that failure is actually part of the process. If you want to grow beyond your imagination, then you should not be afraid of failing. You should not be afraid of failure, because most times when we fail at something, we fail at those things because we do not have enough understanding on how to go about them. We fail at things because we are not experienced. So failure often comes with trying out new things, in going for new opportunities. So if you're scared of failing, you would actually be reluctant to try out new things. And if you do not try out new things, you will not grow. Firstly, in handling failure the right way, or in overcoming failure, we need to work on our mindset. Let's try to remind ourselves that it's part of the process. It's just an hurdle that we need to overcome. Understanding that failure is part of the process doesn't stop us from feeling the emotions we feel when we fail. It's okay to be angry, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to feel disappointed or feel stressed or whatnot. More important than feeling these emotions, it's okay to express them. Yeah, it's very okay for us to express them. In 2021, I was trying to get into grad school. I had applied to 3 schools and I got rejected from all 3. I was devastated. Oh my god, I felt so broken. I felt so terrible. I felt so bad. It was a really, really bad time for me, and I cried about it. And I told my parents about it, my friends, everybody knew about it, and they were consoling me. They said things like, I'm sorry, you try again, you will not give up. These things are easier said. My mom was even like, just pick up yourself and try again. When she told me to try again, I was like, you don't understand. Okay, so to partake in the admission process of the schools, I had to submit my research proposal. And writing or coming up with my research proposal was very tasking for me, because I was trying to apply for a course that was totally different from what I studied in my first degree. So it was a bit challenging for me. But it was my dream. It was what I wanted. Tried. I gave it my best. So for me, it was like months of hard work. My hopes were shattered, and it was like, okay, are you sure you're actually supposed to be pursuing a master's degree in this field you want to go into? At that point, I started questioning myself, okay, why not just stay in the field you're familiar with? Do something with the Portuguese language, maybe, do a master's in Portuguese or something. But I just knew, I wanted more. I wanted something different, and I wasn't going to give up on my dreams, guys. While I was mad at everyone that was telling me, you just try again, deep down, I knew I had no choice. I just had to try again. So what I did? I went to the school portal, and one of the schools released a list. The others, they were a bit discreet, but this particular one released a list of everyone that had applied for the master's program. Then I saw one name that looked familiar, like the name did not look Brazilian, it looked African, but I wasn't sure of the African country the person was from. So I just took out the name and I looked for that person. Yes, I looked for the person. I looked for him. I found him on LinkedIn. Before reaching out to him, I sat myself down and I gave myself a very, very, very honest review. I read my proposal again and I saw like it could be better, but I really I wasn't sure of how to make it better. And that's why I felt like it was really necessary for me to reach out to the guy, so I don't end up making like the same mistake I had made in my previous application. So yeah, firstly, we have to know that failure is part of the process. Secondly, we have to know that it's okay for us to feel the emotions. It's okay for us to feel the emotions, and it's okay for us to express our emotions. Thirdly, we have to be honest with ourselves, be honest with our feedbacks. Look at the process, look at what you did, be honest to yourself. How could it have been better? If you're unable to identify how it could have been better, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody. I reached out to him on LinkedIn. I wrote the message comprehensively, like, this is Buki. I had applied with you. I found your name on the list, and congratulations for getting the admission. I'm so happy for you. However, I'm willing to try again next year. Would you mind, like, walking me through the process, putting me through or something? And he said, okay, you know what, just send me your research proposal. And that was it, guys. That was it. He got the proposal. He told me the changes I needed to effect, and it was just a really, really enlightening process for me. He was also surprised that I had reached out to him, because he found it weird that I actually did not like feel bad that I didn't get it and he got it. We're both foreign students, and he was really surprised, but it was really helpful. It was really, really helpful. The guy is from Guinea-Bissau. It was a really nice person. Guinea-Bissau, sorry. He's a really, really, really nice person. Really nice person, sincerely. It was a learning curve for me, for real. It was a learning curve for me, because I realized that to overcome failure, you have to have like a very humble spirit. You cannot overcome failure with pride, because you have to, aside from giving yourself the honest review, you have to humble yourself and be willing to learn. You have to humble yourself and be willing to grow. You have to humble yourself and be willing to effect the necessary changes you need to make into becoming better, into like getting a different result. Because like the saying goes, you cannot keep doing the same thing and get a different result. For you to get a different result, you have to apply a different technique. Let's feel free to like ask for help when we need help. We've said this on this podcast. Talk to people that you feel are more knowledgeable about the particular thing you're trying to go for. Talk to the people that have more understanding of the field you're trying to like go into. So like, we could experience failure at any point. It could be academic failure, it could be professional failure, it could even be failure with like trying to raise a family. Failure comes in different forms and it means different things to like different people. Getting a B to some people is failure, getting F to some people is what they define as failure. So regardless of what we choose to define as failure, we should not let it like break us down. We should not let it stop us from going for our dreams or going for what we want. Going back to my story here, this guy held my hands like through the whole journey. My research proposal got approved. We did interview prep together. I needed to write an entrance exam. It helped me with past questions, although like the questions were not even the same in any way, but it was helpful. It gave me an idea of what I was to expect. So like, it was really there for me. It was really there for me, and I got in. It was a proud moment for him also. Like, it felt like, oh, he got in. It was a proud moment for him. It was a proud moment for me. I got it. At the point where I got rejected, I almost gave up. I almost accepted fate, in quotes. But like, I'm grateful to God I did not. I think as humans, we need to realize that, yeah, there's a place of faith, but there's also the place of consistency. There's also the place of personal determination, and we should try to go for it. We're capable of doing everything we put our mind to. With God, pray about it, go for it, be resilient. It's not something you can do alone. For real, you have to have good people around you. You have to have people that have the positive mindset around you. I had good friends around me, though at that point I made them feel like the advice they were giving me was like really getting me annoyed and angry. But like, when I was alone, I actually pondered over everything they said to me, and I realized like I needed to pick myself up. So like, have people that would ginger you, have people that would remind you of what you're capable of doing, not people that will make you feel bad, not people that will make you feel down, not people that will make you even question your abilities. After this whole process and how I handled the rejection I got from my first set of applications, I realized how much I had grown emotionally. I didn't know what was happening, but I think there was a lot of mind shifting that occurred before that time. There were a lot of like realizations that I'd had before that time. because I was so proud of myself. You know, when you handle a particular situation and you look back and say, wow, you're now an adult. That was how I felt, really. We do not need to start isolating ourselves because we didn't get our desired result from something. The thing is, we tried, and we'll keep trying. Failure can be a roadblock, yeah, but like, what really matters is what we choose to do to this roadblock. You know, do we see the roadblock and just turn away and just, you know, leave the journey? Or do we see this roadblock and brainstorm ways to get it out of the road? Or, you know, do we just see this roadblock and just sit on it and, you know, we start sulking about the situation? Because if we choose to sit on it, that is what we call stagnancy. Yeah, it leads to stagnancy because you're unable to move forward, you're unable to go backward. You're just stuck in a particular position because you feel there's something. If we choose to go back, that means we're giving up on our dreams, we're giving up on our aspiration. So the best thing to do to that roadblock is smash it down. You know, it's easy to say these things, yeah, but like, I feel hearing these things just helps us. We have a storage in our mind, you know, and hearing these things, I know our mind is not here. But yeah, we have the storage in our minds. So like, hearing these things, we just need to store them in the right place. And you know, when the right time comes, we'll see how helpful hearing these things can be. So yeah, I hope you're able to like handle failure differently right now. You know, just try to understand that failure is part of the process. Know that it's fine to feel the emotions, feel it and express your emotions. 3, give yourself the honest review. And 4, do not be afraid to get help and guidance. Go for it. 5, remember that we are not allowing this roadblock to we're not allowing this roadblock to turn into a limitation. We're not allowing this roadblock to lead to stagnancy. We are pushing it out of the road. And also try to surround yourself with positive people. You don't want to fail at something and start telling people that will tell you, oh, I told you not to try. You know, you want to fail at something and tell people that would remind you that, oh, you're capable of doing this thing. You don't have to give up on your dream because you failed at your first trial. Go for it. Even if it's your second or your third time, go for it and keep going for it till you get it. Really, deciding when to walk away comes from the honest review you give yourself. Okay, so yeah, on the next episode, I'll be talking about the challenges of being an introvert or an ambivert in a time where we're constantly encouraged to put ourselves out there, in a time where we're constantly encouraged to have a social media presence, in a time where we're constantly encouraged to network. So we're talking about the challenges we face as introverts, if you're one, and if you're not one, come and learn the challenges introverts face. That'll be all on today's episode. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm counting on your support. I'm counting on your love. Let me know in the comment section, how do you go about bouncing back after failing at something? You know, let me know in the comment section and let's keep the conversation going. Have a great weekend, guys. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next episode. Do not forget to live every moment and leave no room for regrets. Remember to follow this channel so you get notification whenever I drop a new episode. Thank you. Bye.